Vroom, vroom. Oh, hi. Welcome to Storytime. I'm in my own rocket here. I'm pretending to zoom all over the galaxy. Would you like to read some stories about zooming all over the galaxy with me? Let's go right now. Hello and welcome back to my big comfy chair and welcome back to my Storytime. I, of course, am Miss Hannah. And as you saw in the intro this week, we are talking about explorers that have gone to space and maybe some funny adventures that could happen in space. The first thing we're going to talk about is some actual explorers that went to space. Now, have you been to space yet? I haven't. Maybe someday. But there have been people that have not only been to space, but have been to the moon. And we're going to read all about them. And my first book is called The Moon Over Star. And this is by Dianna Aston. And this is about the men that actually went to the moon. And it's about from a little girl's perspective. Should we read this story? Let's do it. I want you to see this map. This will be important for later. Look at the way the rocket went. That's important. I want you to pay attention. Once upon a summer's morning in 1969, Grandpa led the singing in church, the lights of the Sunday gleaming on his silvery head. Through the open window our voices sailed over Star, our town. Then we bowed our heads and prayed for the astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin Jr., and Michael Collins. If all went well, a spaceship would land on the moon today, and I dreamed that maybe one day I could go to the moon too. My Gramps thought the space program was a waste of money, but I knew he was praying for them too. I thought about the astronauts' kids and wondered if they were scared, but proud. I know I'd be. I slipped my hand into my dad's and whispered, so only I could hear, God, please bless the astronauts' children. These are the three men. Once upon a summer's moon, my cousins and I scouted Grandpa's watermelon patch for the biggest one. It took 3 of us to carry it to a tub of ice, 3 and a half counting my littlest cousin, Lacey. We decorated the picnic table with pails of wildflowers. Then, our chores done, we built our own spaceship from scraps found in the barn. You see, they're building their own spaceship from different scraps. T-minus 15 seconds. 12, 11, 10, 9. As the oldest grandchild, I got to be the launch controller and Commander Armstrong. See, she's being Neil Armstrong. Ignition sequence. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have liftoff. We close our eyes, imagining with all our might the rumble, the roar, and the force of the Saturn rocket blasting the spaceship into the stars. Then we were rushing through space at 25 miles per hour. It's really fast. There's the real rocket. That's the one that she's imagining being in. I wonder how many miles it is to the moon, Cousin Carrie said. I've been reading moon stories in the paper, so I knew. About 240,000 miles, I said, and some scientists say it's moving away from us, an inch or so farther each year. I also knew that in May 1961, a month before I was born, President John F. Kennedy had said America would send men to the moon before the decade was out. Now President Kennedy was in heaven. I wondered if he could see the astronauts. Was he smiling to know his dream was about to come true? Do you see there's their pretend one. They're imagining that they're going to the moon. That afternoon, we were helping Gramps with the tractor when Gram hollered, "Come quick! they're landing! Gramps kept right on tinkering with the engine. The rest of us ran pell-mell for the house and squirmed round the television as it glowed with equal parts of the moon and the spaceship called Eagle. Here they all go. They're all running in. They're going to see the men land on the moon. We heard the voice of Commander Armstrong directing the landing. Forward, forward, he said. The newsman we all knew, Walter Cronkite, exclaimed, Man on the moon! For a split second, we were silent. The whole universe must have been. And we waited. Waited to hear the voice of an astronaut 240,000 miles away. And then, they're all looking at the TV. Houston, Tranquility Base here, Commander Armstrong. The Eagle has landed. Boy, did we cheer. All the cousins, even the grown-ups, all except Gramps. I remember something he said. Why spend all that money to go to the moon when there are so many folks in need right here on Earth? Because we can! I almost shouted, but caught myself. I began to wonder what Gramps' dreams had been. From the time he was little, he had worked on the farm, doing the same jobs day after day, season after season. They're all excited, but Gramps is kind of sad. When the crickets began to sing, Gramps took out his pipe. I pulled off his dirt-caked boots for him and stomped around the porch. Gramps, will you watch it with me tonight, the moonwalk? I'm mighty worn out, he said. But maybe. Suddenly I could see how tired he was, lifetime tired. There were deep lines in his face, a farmer's face, an old farmer's face. All righty, Gramps. I said, it's okay. And she's stomping around to Gramps. Once upon a summer's night in 1969, we spread out blankets and folding chairs on the edge of the yard, where the buffalo grass grew thick and soft. The corn stalks whispered while we gazed at the pearly slice of the moon, the stars gleaming like spilled sugar. What the astronauts were seeing right now every second. Could they see beyond the moon? To Mars? Or Neptune? Or Jupiter? We passed around a bowl of popcorn. What I could see above me and what I could see in my imagination were better than a picture show. They're all looking. Could they see the astronauts really? They'd have to be inside watching. But later on in the summer night in 1969, a television screen flashed with the words that gave me goosebumps. Live from the surface of the moon. And Mr. Cronkite said, Neil Armstrong, 38-year-old American standing on the surface of the moon. On this day, July 20th, 1969. I didn't know it then, but there were 600 million people the world over watching with me and listening to Commander Armstrong as he said, That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. All of us, from New York to Tokyo to Paris to Cairo to Star. And maybe even President Kennedy too. All of us watched the astronauts bounding across the moon like ghosts on a trampoline. I felt a hand on my shoulder. I reckon that's something to remember, Gramps said quietly. There they are, the first moon walking. Later, when it was quiet as the world ever gets, Gramps and I stood on the moon. What's mankind? I asked him. He puffed his pipe. It's all of us, he finally said. All of us who've ever lived, all of us still to come. I put my hand on his. Just think, Gramps, if they could go to the moon, maybe I could go too. Great days, he said. An astronaut in the family. Who'd have thought? I smiled in the dark. My Gramps was proud of me. First airplane I ever saw, I was your age, right over yonder. Gramps said, nodding to the cornfield. That was something to see. Oh, boy, something to see. A sigh in my Gramps' voice made my heart squeeze. Keep dreaming, May, he said. Just remember, we're here now on the prettiest star in the heavens. Gramps had looked at the moon all his life. It told him when to plant and when to harvest, and one summer's night it told me to dream. Do you see the footprints? That's the footprints that the astronauts left. Wasn't that a cool story? I think we should learn about some famous astronauts that have not just gone to the moon, but also have gone to space. And maybe even Miss May. Would you like to learn some of the astronauts with me? Take a look at some of them? Let's go do that. Let's talk about some people who have actually been to space. There's lots of famous people that have actually been to space, some astronauts and some cosmonauts. Those mean the explorers of space. So there are so many that have been to space, but I picked out some of the more famous ones. If you are interested in this, don't feel free to look these guys up because these are real people who have been to space. First one I want to talk about is a man named Yuri Gagarin. He was the first person to ever go into space. He was a Russian man. Next is Alan Shepard. He was the first American man to go into space. Next is Valentina, I'm going to mispronounce her name, so I'm going to double check it, okay? Valentina Tereshkova. Valentina Tereshkova. She was the first woman in space a long, long time ago. Next is the three people that have been to the moon. The first people to go to the moon. They were Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Buzz Aldrin. They went up in Apollo 11, and they were the first people to step foot on the moon. Now, the last person I'm going to mention is a lady named Mae Jemison. Now, she may have been the inspiration for the story we just read about a little girl named May. It's not the same person, but maybe the author was inspired by Miss Mae Jemison. She's been to space. Maybe someday you will go to space. Nobody's been to Mars yet. Maybe someday you will be the first person to step foot on Mars. If you are, make sure you tell me about it. Miss Hannah wants to know all about your adventures. Would you like to read some more stories about going to space? Let's go read. Welcome back to our big comfy chair for another story. I've got two this time because they're really short, so we're going to read it back to back. And it's about actually going to space instead of pretending. Well, kind of. This is called You're a Genius, Blackboard Bear, and this is by Martha Alexander, excuse me. Ready? The moon sounds great. Can we go there, Dad? But Anthony, I don't know how to build a spaceship. Skip a page. I might have skipped a page. Never know with me. Nope. These pages are thick. What are you doing, Blackboard Bear? It's the middle of the night. A spaceship? Really? You're drawing the parts? Wow! You see the parts? Oh, I see. You're going to put it together outside. So you can put it together. We did it! You're a genius. Do we need to go right away? What if we get lost? Oh, you drew a compass to show us how to get there. Blackboard Bear is so smart. It looks like the moon is all covered with snow. I better go get my snowsuit and sleeping bag. I hope the moon isn't too bumpy. I'll miss my warm bed. Is the moon covered in snow? I bet there's no water up there. And there's probably nothing to eat. He's getting water. He's getting some food. Do you think there's any monsters on the moon? You don't really know. Looks like there's no room for me. I guess I won't be able to go. Fill it all up. There's no room for him. Anthony. You go alone and see what the moon is like. You won't be afraid without me. Be careful now. Don't bump into any stars. The end. Such a silly little story about about a bear who went to the moon. Maybe you'll go to the moon one day, just like that bear. I got one more story, then we'll go do another fun activity. This is called One Day, Daddy, and it is by Francis Thomas. I've got this problem, said Little Monster. I'm sorry to hear that, said Father Monster. What's the problem? Well, said Little Monster, maybe one day I want to be an explorer. Maybe you will, said Father Monster. Is that a problem? Yes, it is, said Little Monster. You see, Daddy, if I'm an explorer, I have to leave you and Mommy behind. Well, said Father Monster, maybe we could come with you. Don't be silly, said Little Monster. Explorers don't take their mommies and daddies along with them. No, I guess not, said Father Monster. So where will you explore? Well, I'd really like to go to the moon. Did you know you could jump as high as a house because there's less gravity to weigh you down? You might bounce all the way back into space, said Father Monster. I said as high as a house, said Little Monster. I didn't say as high as space. Don't forget to look up at the sky. You might see Mommy and me waving from Earth. See them? They're waving. Little Monster's a little embarrassed. You would be much too far away to see, said Little Monster, but I would send you a piece of moon rock as a present. Thank you very much, said Father Monster. We'll put it on the mantle next to the clock. And when I finish with the moon, said Little Monster, I'll go to Mars. Watch out for all the Martians, said Father Monster. There aren't any Martians, said Little Monster. Are you sure about that? Said Father Monster. Of course I am, said Little Monster. Well, I'm almost sure. Are there any Martians on Mars? Probably not. Then maybe I'll go to Jupiter. Did you know that Jupiter has 16 moons? That's kind of greedy of Jupiter, said Father Monster. We only have one. All the moons. Should we count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 moons. And it has a big red spot, said Little Monster, and nobody knows what's in it. Maybe it's a big red dragon, said Father Monster. Waiting to eat you. Well, I probably would avoid him, said Little Monster. Do you think it's a big red dragon? I don't think so either. And then I'll go to Saturn to see all the rings. Be careful that you don't slide off, said Father Monster. Then maybe I'll look for a meteor shower. Make sure to take your umbrella, said Father Monster. And if I see a comet with a long, shiny tail, I'll jump on it and ride it all the way to space, beyond the planets, and I'll go see the stars. That's a long way to go, said Father Monster. But I would have to go a long way to get to the stars, wouldn't I? And then, even if I got to a star that nobody's found before, said Little Monster, and I like it, maybe I'll stay there for a while. Won't you be lonely out there? Said Father Monster. Yes, but you have to be lonely to do something, said Little Monster. And you will come back one day. Oh, yes, one day I'll come back, Daddy. The end. Maybe someday you'll be an explorer like Little Monster. Once, maybe you guys will go to the moon. Or maybe to Mars. You know what? As I'm recording this, NASA just landed another rover on Mars. So maybe you'll be the next person to go to Mars. Should we go do a fun activity where we pretend to blast off? Let's go. All right. Are you ready to do a fun activity with me? All right. You ready? Here we go. We're gonna put on our spacesuit. Here we go. Legs. Put it on our head. All right. You ready? We're going to the moon. Climb aboard your rocket ship. We're gonna blast off soon. Now let's put on your helmet. Strip on tight. Gotta put it on up. Alright, strap yourself in tight. Check your controls, instruments. Okay, let's get ready for the journey. Get ready for the flight. Time for your journey. Let the countdown begin. Here we go. Get ready. Get set. 5, 4, 3, 2, and blast off! Let's do it again, shall we? Ready? Put on your spacesuit. All right, here we go. I'm going to put on my pants, put on my shirt, and put on my jacket. There we go. You got it all on? Oh, I got to get my boots. All right, we're going to the moon. Let's climb in our spaceship. Climb into your spaceship. We're going to blast off soon. Let's put on our helmet. Put on your helmet. Make sure it's all strapped in. Right now, put on your seatbelt. Strap down tight. Now we got to check the instruments. Yeah, it's all good to go. Get ready for your flight. It's time for your journey to begin. Let the countdown begin. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Good job. Let's go to read one more story, and then we'll do the big word of the month. Ready? Let's go. More book. This is a silly book. This is called Teatime in Space by Caroline Castle. It's about a little boy, and he goes for an adventure in space. Let's read it. One afternoon, a spaceship landed in Pete's backyard in a shower of sparks. "Wow," said Pete. A small green creature climbed down. "Greetings, pink one," said the creature. "I am Zub from the planet Flub." "Greetings, green one," said Pete. "I am Pete from the planet Earth." "Can you come with me?" said Zub. "My Flummobile is broken down. Mambo of Zub will be very cross if I'm late for tea." Pete examined the spaceship. Zub showed him the controls. Pete saw the problem. What the problem was. The down button was stuck. He wiggled, he waggled it, but then the little spaceship took off. Zoom! All of a sudden, they were in outer space. "Oh no!" cried Pete. "Quick, let's push the down button again." Pete and Zub pushed the button as hard as they could, but the spaceship just zoomed higher and higher and higher. "Oh no!" cried Pete. "Mambo of Pete will be very angry. It's my tea time soon, and I'm not allowed to be beyond the backyard gate, let alone outer space." "Sorry," said Zub, "but now it's on autopilot. Any minute now we'll be on the planet Flub." At that very moment, a little spaceship landed bump on the planet Flub. Mambo of Zub was rushing from the house. She was not pleased. "Naughty Zub," she cried. "You know you're not allowed beyond the backyard stars. And who is this strange pink creature?" Zub told Mambo about his adventure on the planet Earth and how Pete helped him to repair his little spaceship. Mambo of Zub was so grateful to Pete, she invited him to tea. Pete looked at his watch. Mambo of Pete would be calling him in 10 minutes. There was just enough time. They had Zoggle fingers. They had and waffle tops on wobble plates and glasses of goo juice. Then Pete said he really must go. Pete said goodbye to Flub, then Mambo of Zub, and flew him home. Zap! In her super zipper ship. Zip! Zap! 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 He arrived just in time for tea on planet Earth. It was fish fingers on brown toast with a glass of fizzy orange. Pete wasn't the least bit hungry, but he ate it all up anyway. After all, he could hardly tell Mom he'd already had tea. In space. Isn't that a funny story? Would you like to have tea in space? You would? Maybe you'll find a friend named Flub too. Let's go do the big word of the month and then come right back here to find out what our craft is today. The big word of the month is astronomy, which means the study of space. Let's do it together 3 times. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Astronomy, the study of space. 2 more. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Astronomy, the study of space. 1 more time. 1, 2, 3. Astronomy, the study of space. Good job. Let's go see what our craft is for today. All right, are you guys ready to hear your fun craft for the day? A fun craft is to make a name rocket. Here's mine. You can see I have my name on it, H-A-N-N-A-H. And I drew some fire on the bottom. I hope to see yours. If you make one, you can always leave a picture of it in the comments below for me. Have a safe and wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye!